Welcome to the 2020 January monthly safety meeting. Our vision, we will deliver the best customer experience with industry-leading safety, reliability, and innovation. What does it mean to you? What part do we play in achieving this vision? Overview during today's meeting will be covering left turns and pedestrian and winter driving. We will also be discussing slip, trips, and fall. We will refresh ourselves around the fundamental of recognizing how to make a safe left turns, knowing what to do around pedestrians, utilizing proper techniques for winter driving, avoiding and prevent slip, trips, and falls. Our main menu, fleet safety, part 1, left turn and pedestrians.
In 2012, over 4,700 pedestrians were killed and another 75,000 were injured by motor vehicles in the U.S. Approximately 2,000 of these fatalities happened at a crosswalk or where a crosswalk was available. There are several contributing factors to these deaths, but inattention on the part of the pedestrian or the driver is one of the main causes. As a transit or paratransit operator, a crucial element of your job is expecting the unexpected and defending against the errors of others. This is especially important when operating large vehicles around vulnerable road users, such as pedestrians and bicyclists, who may be oblivious to their surroundings or think the painted lines and lights of a crosswalk offer enough protection from injury or worse while crossing traffic. Your training, experience, attention to detail, and professionalism are the only things between your vehicle and potential tragedy. To help reduce the risk of busted pedestrian contact, one of the best driving habits you can use is to square your turns. You've heard the safety and training staff within your organization preach for years to square your turns at intersections, especially while making a left turn. But what exactly does that mean to you? And what are the safety advantages of squaring your turn as opposed to a shortened or sweeping turn? Take a minute, we'll explain, try to answer those questions. Let's start by taking another look at the actions of our operator. Notice how the operator appears to have a fixed stare and isn't rocking and rolling in the seat? Keeping your head and eyes moving is a fundamental of safe vehicle operation. When negotiating a turn, it's even more important to be aware of your surroundings and do your best to eliminate blind spots. By rocking back and forth, left and right in the seat, you will be better able to see what may be obstructed by roof pillars, mirror housings, sun visors, and navigation devices. A pedestrian, bicyclist, or person using a wheelchair can easily be hidden from your view behind these items, or may be distracted by the 3 H's: handheld devices, hoodies, and headphones. Remember, keep your head and eyes moving and check your mirrors often to be aware of everything going on around your vehicle. Our operator does not have a safe grip on the steering wheel. Obviously, the steering wheel is the main controlling device for your vehicle. It is not a place to simply rest your hands. You must always have both hands on the steering wheel while the vehicle is in motion and never use the spokes of the wheel for turning. Employ the push-pull or hand-over-hand steering methods depending on the situation. The positive control of the vehicle is literally in your hands. The operator is taking the most direct route from the starting to end point in the intersection. This is called a sweeping turn. The operator is looking at the point of the intersection where she wants to end up and not at the bigger picture around her. Although the brakes may be covered, the operator has taken an angle that reduces a wider view of the intersection. In this position, the operator has to look over her left shoulder to see if a pedestrian has entered the intersection from the far curbside, further making this maneuver unsafe by taking her eyes off the direction the vehicle is traveling. Also, note how close the bus will come to the opposing vehicle stop at the light, or the stop sign? What if those vehicles weren't stopped behind the stop line in their lane? The chances of a vehicle collision are increased, not to mention the pedestrians who could be in the crosswalk. Up to the moment of contact with the pedestrian, our operator did not decrease speed and in fact accelerated to maintain momentum. By taking a more direct route to the far side of the intersection, there is less chance the operator will be prepared to stop the vehicle. The sweeping turn generally requires the operator to accelerate, naturally meaning a longer stopping distance once the danger is recognized. The fact is, our operator is only saving about 3 seconds by cutting the turn short, and the maneuver exhibits an aggressive and forceful visual to the public. As seen from above, the starting point is represented by A and the end point C. We just saw our operator make the turn in a sweeping movement, represented by the red dotted line. We now realize that this driving habit can be deadly. Now let's see what it looks like when our driver squares the turn at an intersection and practices safer driving techniques. This is represented by the green dotted line, A to B to C. Sounds simple enough, but how do you square the turn, and why is this a safer maneuver? Our operator is rocking and rolling, keeping her head and eyes moving. Notice the body and eye movements of our operator, getting the big picture by eliminating blind spots caused by interior obstructions. She's also glancing at the mirrors. Note the positive control of the steering wheel and the use of both hands. She knows her vehicle will only perform as well as she operates it and does not have a casual grip on the wheel. Remember, 2 + 2 = safety. 2 hands on the wheel and 2 eyes on the road at all times. In addition to being aware of her surroundings and controlling the direction of the vehicle, our operator slows to a coast and covers the brake pedal in anticipation of stopping if a hazard is detected. The vehicle should only be traveling at 3 to 5 miles per hour, and there's no reason to accelerate through the intersection by entering on a green light and making sure the road was clear for the turn. Keeping her upper body and eyes moving, the operator has a clear view of what's in front of and around the vehicle. She keeps the bus parallel with the crosswalk she will be turning into, staying as far outside the intersection as possible. The pivot point, indicated by the yellow line, is the point where the operator's shoulders are even with the center lane divider. This should be your reference spot that tells you when to start the turn. Without accelerating more than necessary, the operator then turns the vehicle sharply left, following a 90-degree angle until the bus is fully facing the crosswalk. Our operator now has the clearest, widest view of the intersection possible and of any pedestrians that may be crossing from either curb. Now that the unit is squared, while continuing to rock and roll, only slight acceleration is needed to complete the turn. She can see the crosswalk is clear and can proceed safely through the intersection. Let's look at the turn once again in real time. Head and eyes moving. Positive control of the steering wheel. Enter intersection on a green light. Keep vehicle parallel to the crosswalk. Turn once you reach the pivot point. Slight acceleration to maintain momentum. It's that simple. Square your turns at every intersection. Whether you're deadheading back to the yard, you have a standing room capacity load, or you're in your private vehicle. Always, always square your turns for safety. Thank you from the entire Capital Metro family, where we are serious about safety.
At what speed should you be making your turns? Out of 5 miles per hour. What does it mean to rock and roll your turns? Rock and roll means to lean back and forth in your seat and check the blinds area during your turn. So when you rock your body, you move forward, look left, back, move forward, look right, back, and move forward, left, and back before you make your turns. Rock and roll. Why is it good to square your turns? Well, squaring your turns rather than angling provides a wider view of the intersection. What do you do when you encounter a pedestrian or bicyclist? Always make sure you get eye contact. Using your horn and give a friendly wave is very helpful. Understand the impact of adverse weather or pedestrians' behavior. Now let's talk more about Triple LC. Look ahead, look around, leave room, and communicate. That means look ahead at least 15 seconds at all time. Make sure when you're looking ahead 15 seconds ahead all time, you can see all what's going on in front of you, including hazards and obstructions. And also, it gives you enough time to make a maneuver to where you can avoid all the hazards. If you look ahead, also gives you more time and distance to adjust the condition. Always look around. Change your focus every 2 seconds. Also, before you proceed the intersection, look left, right, then left. When you leave around your vehicle, it gives you enough time to make adjustment. Also, to leave room when a vehicle is tailgating your vehicle, you should slightly decelerate so they back off. Covering part 2 of winter driving. Why is it important to have proper tire pressure in winter weather condition? One, it keeps you maintaining traction and also prevent damage or tire failure blowout. So it maintains your traction and prevent damage or tire failure blowout. What type of hazards comes with winter driving? Well, one, traction is reduced due to ice and snow, so reduce your speed. But before we move on to injury prevention, let's talk more about winter driving. What are some special weather conditions you might encounter driving your vehicle and how would you respond to them? Well, for example, rain, sleet, snow, wind, and dust. To deal with these conditions, you need to slow down and increase your following distance. We know that in the rain, following distance is 6 seconds. In the snow, 7 seconds. And ice and sleet, 8 seconds or more. For example, in the rain, if the speed limit is 60 miles per hour, you have to reduce your speed to at least 45 miles per hour. How much can rain affect your traction? And why is that important? Well, rain reduces your traction up to 55%. It reduced means it's a lot easier to skid, fishtail, or hydroplane, which it can lead to an accident. How do you dry your brakes? Well, gently push down and pump the brake until you feel the normal resistance. What's your following distance be in the rain and why? Well, in the rain, you need to increase your following distance to at least 6 seconds to prevent any wet collision. Reduced traction means it takes longer for you to stop. That extra couple of seconds, if your following distance, give you the room you need. How can you increase your visibility in the rain? Well, in the rain, use both your windshield wiper and the defroster to clear away rain, condensation, fog that can build up on your windshield. Ice and sleet reduce your traction by 85 to 95%. Which is worse, so ice or snow? Well, ice and sleet are the most dangerous road condition of all. Your traction is reduced by 85 to 95%, and sometimes you don't even get that much. What's your following distance is in the snow? Well, increase your following distance at least 7 seconds in the snow. Increase your following distance to at least 8 seconds or more in ice, because you're going to need extra distance to stop because of reduced traction. How much should you reduce your speed in the rain, snow, ice, and why? Well, reduce your speed by 25% in the rain. Reduce your speed 50% in the snow, and reduce your speed by 66% on ice. In this case, you need to slow down to have time to react in adverse weather conditions. Let's cover about how much does snow reduce your traction and ice. While snow reduces your traction up to 75%, and in ice, your traction reduced by 88 to 95%. In this condition, you need to take extra caution to accelerate slowly and brake very gradually. Common mistake amateur drivers make is they use their high beam when there's fog. And what should we do in a heavy fog? Stick your low beam and check your position on the road by looking at the lane marking. But if the fog is too heavy, you can't see 2 seconds in front of you, pull over in the safe location. Turn on your upper flashers and your hazards and call your dispatch. Should you use your headlights? Well, a common mistake amateur driver makes is to turn on their high beams. And that makes everything worse because the light reflects off the fog. dust or smoke, it creates a glare. In this situation, use your low beam instead. What are some of the common mistakes the other drivers make in a parking lot? Well, common parking lot mistakes include speeding to get a space, rolling through stops at the end of the aisle, exiting and entering the parking lot carelessness, cutting across the island lane, and backing without warning or without clear visibility or not looking at all, not getting out to look. What are some of the common mistakes that pedestrian makes in the parking lots? Well, pedestrian mistake includes walking in the road, cutting between the parked cars, or not paying attention to traffic. Of course, in adverse weather condition, you will need to increase your following distance and decrease your speed depending on what type of condition you're driving in. No matter what conditions you're driving in, make sure you exercise extra caution. In other circumstances, your ability to see can be reduced by too much lights, such as when you drive into the sun or towards oncoming headlights, or at night. Too little lights, like when you're driving at night, and a combination of too much and too little lights, like you drive from a brightly lit area into a dark area. Make sure in these situations, you use your headlights correctly. Drive carefully. In a potentially hazardous situation, such as drawbridge, narrow streets, traffic circles, and parking lots. Now we're going to cover injury prevention, slip, trips, and fall.
Slips, trips, and falls are no laughing matter. In fact, they're one of the leading causes of injury on the job, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Fortunately, by using a few common sense strategies, you can greatly reduce the number of slips, trips, and falls at your company. That helps limit workplace injuries and minimize lost workdays. The first thing to do is investigate every slip, trip, and fall, no matter how minor it seems. Your investigation can reveal dangers that could result in a major incident next time. The investigation should focus on where incidents typically occur. These include doorways, ramps, cluttered hallways, places with heavy traffic or uneven surfaces, and areas where wetness or spills are common. In addition to investigating all incidents, be sure to have the right type of floor covering in place. There are a number of things to consider. These include
what kind of spills might occur, the kind of equipment that we have, and the fluids that may be around that equipment. But we also have to think about sanitary conditions, and even noise might be a concern because if it's too noisy, then employees cannot hear warnings. Another consideration would be areas with heavy foot traffic.
You might also want to consider slip-resistant mats for extra protection where spills are likely. Some mats even help guide water, grease, and other fluids away from the walking surface. The third strategy is to outfit employees with slip-resistant footwear, especially if they work where surfaces are wet or greasy. Employees who need to move rapidly from one type of floor to another would also find slip-resistant footwear helpful. The fourth strategy is to train employees how to deal with spills and cluttered walkways. Make sure employees are aware that they should keep aisles clear and floors clean, and have managers post signs to warn people about slippery areas. Managers should also remind employees, if you drop it, pick it up. If you spill it, wipe it up. And go where you are looking and look where you are going. Not every slip, trip, or fall is the result of a wet or cluttered floor. Sometimes poor lighting is the cause, or it may be how an employee acts. You can minimize these types of falls by making sure there's adequate light and showing people how to change their behavior.
Some tips that we may offer to help employees change their behavior would be to use your feet as a probe. Keep your head up when walking so that you can maintain your natural center of gravity. But also you have to be aware of your surroundings. Always know when things are changing so that you can react appropriately. If you do find yourself falling, be very conscious of what you're doing to help stop that fall.
It's also good to advise employees against carrying items that block their view. Use these 4 strategies to reduce slips, trips, and falls at your company. It's good for your employees, and it's good for your business.
What should you do if you have wet walking surface on your bus? Walk slowly and shuffle your feet. Use the 3-point contact at all times. What are some of the areas passengers could slip, trip, or fall on the bus? What about entry, exit, doorways of the bus? Aisle along the center of the bus? The ground just outside of the bus and any stairways of the bus? We want to make sure that we don't walk into any slippery surface while we're escorting or dropping off our clients. Make sure that you don't walk in a muddy area where there's puddle of water, grass, or any uneven surfaces. Look where you're going. Look ahead. And make sure that you do the same with your client. Make sure you communicate with your client in regards to any hazards that can cause them to slip, trip, or fall outside and in a bus. How can you make sure a passenger don't fall on your bus? Well, make sure all walking surfaces are clean. Always warn passengers for slippery condition. Communicate with them. Give them a heads up, Let them know, hey, please walk slowly, or move to your right or move to your left because there's a puddle of water or a slippery area. Remind passengers to watch their step. Remind passengers about 3-point contacts. Avoid distracted driving. Avoid sudden starts and stop. Before departing your stop, make sure all passengers are seated, or if standing, they have 3 points contact at all times. Well, in this case, they won't be standing, they'll be sitting down. Always make sure you have the proper following distance and give yourself plenty of time to react and stop if you need to. Also, drivers, you need to make sure that you have proper footwear. Make sure it's a non-slip shoes. It's wet outside. It's going to get colder. It's going to be slippery. We're going to have black eyes. And sometimes when we don't see those black eyes, well, we we slip. So watch your path. Be aware of your surrounding. In the morning, make sure you have a flashlight. Make sure that you're able to see what you're walking on. What is a fun way to remember how we should walk in a winter condition? Think about the penguin shuffle. Maintain center of gravity over the front foot and take small step to maintain balance. If you have ice, sleet, wear them. But also, you gotta be having good, proper tread on your shoes will prevent slip, trips, and fall. Penguin shuffle. It's keeping your head up. Keep your center of gravity over your front leg. Extend the arm to the side to keep your balance. Point your feet outward slightly and stay flat-footed. Adjust your pace and walk slowly or shuffle. Take your time when you're out there. Be aware of your surrounding and be cautious at all times. We have a couple of drive cam review. Watch video 1. Now we're gonna watch the video one more time. There is no sound on this video, so just watch the driver, how the driver could have prevented this. So the question is, what should you do to clear your path prior to executing a left-hand turn? Well, rock and roll. Look left, look right, look left. Scan for pedestrian. Scan for pedestrian at all times. And make sure before executing a turn, the pedestrian is already halfway through the intersection. Also, the second video has no sound, so we're gonna watch the video one more time. What should this operator have done differently? Wow, that was pretty close there. That's a near miss. So the question is, what should this operator have done differently? What about keep both hands on the wheel? Look ahead. Scan the road. Slow down. Keep your eyes moving. Change your focus every 2 seconds. Expect the unexpected. Always expect that a pedestrian or a bicyclist will enter your path. They're not looking for you, so you have to look for them. Thank you for your undivided attention and your commitment to safety. Thank you for watching the January 2020 safety meeting.